My ex-fiancé dumped me by text a week before our wedding for his dream job. 3 years later, he came back wanting to get everything back. But I'm already married to his cousin. Hi, I'm 30, and I was once engaged to my ex-fiancé Felix, who's now 34. When we got engaged, I was 26, so almost 4 years ago. We were supposed to get married 3 years ago, but a week before the wedding, he broke up with me over text and flew to Germany, where he'd been offered his dream job. Felix and I met through mutual friends and dated for 3 years before he proposed. He was a zoologist by education and already a professor at that time. I always knew he dreamed of achieving something bigger to make a contribution to science and the world. It did sound pretty cool when he was offered a research position. In a new scientific project, he agreed and left without even talking to me. This happened exactly 1 week before our wedding. He and his friends were supposed to fly to Hawaii for his bachelor party, but he never showed up at the airport. Only hours later did we find out he was in Germany and that he was leaving me because he'd gotten an offer he just couldn't refuse. He said he understood that I wouldn't just drop my life, friends, family, and career for him, and he didn't want me to sacrifice anything for his sake, but he also wasn't willing to give up his dream for me. So, after what he called long reflection, he decided to act alone. He didn't want long goodbyes or hard conversations, so he just left abruptly. He apologized, said he was sure I'd find someone better, and that he was sorry things had to end this way, but his dreams were too important to give up. Honestly, I didn't have a problem with him wanting to follow his dream. I just wanted him to at least talk to me before making that decision and leaving. I've worked my whole life as an architect, and my only career goal has been to earn enough money to afford whatever I want. I've never aimed to change the world or do something noble for society. Maybe that's why I didn't understand his priorities, or maybe I'm just a normal person who knows how important communication is, and that you don't lie to your fiancée and dump her by text a week before the wedding. After the breakup, we obviously didn't stay in touch. All of our mutual friends cut him off too. When we were together, everything had been amazing, so this breakup hit me like a truck. I tried to cope, but for weeks afterward, I completely fell apart. Felix paid for all the wedding expenses as an apology, so I didn't lose a cent. That meant I had no reason to contact him. A few weeks after he left, his cousin Sam, now 32, came by to collect the rest of Felix's things. I'd seen Sam before at a couple of family events, but we'd never been close. He and Felix weren't that close either apparently. No one else in the family wanted to deal with him, so Felix offered Sam $2,000 to ship his stuff to Germany. Sam played guitar in a band that was still trying to make a name for itself, and he needed the money, so he agreed. When Sam came over, I tried to keep my distance, but I must have looked miserable because instead of just taking the boxes and leaving, he stayed and talked to me. I wasn't in the mood to talk, but he didn't leave until I opened up. Once I started, I couldn't stop. It was awkward, and eventually I ended up crying in front of him, but he comforted me the whole time. He let me cry it out and then told me I needed to be strong. He also added that Felix was an idiot who didn't even realize what he'd lost. That meant a lot because Felix's departure had completely destroyed my self-esteem and confidence. Sam gave me his number and told me to call if I ever needed someone to talk to. Then he hugged me goodbye. He didn't have to do any of this. He'd only come to pick up his cousin's stuff, but he still cared enough to help, and that truly touched me. We kept talking, and within a couple of months, we'd become genuinely good friends. Honestly, he's the one who helped me feel happy again, and I don't think I could have gotten through that breakup without him being there at every step. He encouraged me to go out, go to work, meet friends on weekends instead of sitting at home drinking and feeling miserable. But he also understood when I just needed to be alone, and on those days, he'd come over and just quietly sit next to me. I didn't even notice when I fell for him, but he started staying over more and more, and 2 years ago, he came over and just never left. That's how we ended up living together. Some people might think it was strange or rushed, but I don't see it that way. I genuinely love him. Now we're even married, so I think it's safe to say it's serious. We moved in together, and earlier this year, for both practical and legal reasons, we decided to get married. We had a small ceremony that very few people knew about exactly how we wanted it. His entire family and my friends were told not to tell anyone, especially Felix. We didn't want him to know, because obviously he wouldn't take it well that I was marrying his cousin, and I didn't want any unnecessary drama. Even Felix's parents were invited, because they'd always treated me well, even after the breakup, and they gave us their blessing. They promised to keep it from their son, and surprisingly, they did. I had my doubts since they'd forgiven him just a few months after he dumped me, but I didn't hold it against them. He's their only child after all. Several months passed, and my married life with Sam was perfect. I even realized Felix had been right when he said I'd find someone better. Everything was going great. Until last week, when Felix suddenly showed up at my door, I was shocked because I hadn't heard from him in 3 years. He hadn't tried to contact me, never asked how I was doing, and I never reached out to him. I knew he'd come home for holidays a couple of times, mutual friends told me, but we'd never crossed paths. This time, though, he'd clearly decided he wanted to talk to me. Instead of just texting me or arranging a proper meeting like a normal person, he showed up at my door with a bouquet. Before I could say anything, he apologized for ruining our relationship and said that he was finally ready to fix everything and wanted me to forgive him. He told me that the project he had been working on had failed, the entire budget was spent, and it was unlikely they would get another grant anytime soon. So he quit and came back for good. He said he regretted letting me go, especially the way he did it by text. He admitted I deserved better after all those years together, and at least I was glad he finally understood that. He ended his dramatic speech by saying that now that he was back, we could pick up where we left off and get married as soon as possible. Because during those 3 years apart, he realized I was the woman of his dreams. He said he had made a huge mistake dumping me and now wanted to give our relationship a second chance and be together again. I let him finish without interrupting, wanting to see where he was going with this. When he finally stopped, I just showed him the ring on my finger and told him that I was already married to Sam, his cousin who was 1,000,000,000 times better than him. I told him his apologies were too late and meant nothing to me anymore. His jaw literally dropped, and I took the chance to slam the door in his face and told him to get lost. I was furious. Later, I tried to calm down until Sam came home. It was the weekend, and he was relaxing with his friends. His band had broken up a couple of years ago, around the same time we started taking things seriously. He got a job at an event agency run by his friend's father. When they needed live music for events, he and the guys would still get together and play. Everything was perfect, but that week had been tough back-to-back events and this rest was well deserved. I didn't want to bother him, so I didn't call or text until he got home, and I told him Felix had come by. He said Felix's uncle, Felix's father, had called him, but since Sam was busy with friends, he decided to call back later. Now that he knew what happened, he felt out of place. He admitted he hadn't even thought about how all this would look to Felix once he found out. I told him it didn't matter, Felix was the one who left me without even explaining or saying goodbye, so his opinion meant nothing now. After that, we decided to contact Felix's parents because they had tried to call Sam several times and had also called me, but I hadn't really checked my phone because I was too irritated when we finally talked to them. They told us that right after visiting me, Felix had gone to his parents' house and caused a real scene. At first, he yelled at them for hiding the truth from him for months, actually years, if you count the time we were together and living together. He accused them and the whole family of betrayal and said they were all crazy for supporting our marriage and letting it happen. He called me a terrible woman who crawled to his cousin only because she couldn't get him. He was sure I married Sam just out of revenge and that I had no feelings for him at all, that I was only using Sam to make Felix jealous. Now that everything was out in the open, Felix said he didn't feel jealousy anymore, only disgust. I couldn't believe he was capable of saying such things about me. There wasn't a single bit of truth in it. If I really wanted to make him jealous, I would have done it long ago and definitely wouldn't wait for him to crawl back just so I could tell him I'm already married. Most importantly, I'm not some crazy, obsessed woman still hung up on him, getting married just to spite him. I have genuine feelings for Sam, and that's why I'm with him. I owe Felix no explanations, so I said nothing more to him. In the next couple of days, Sam and I tried to pretend Felix had never come back and just continued with our lives, but a few days ago, he showed up again. And this time we were both home. We'd just come back from work when we heard Felix yelling outside. We went out and saw him making a drunken scene right in front of our house. He was screaming at the top of his lungs, saying we had ruined his life, even though that made no sense since he didn't even know about us until recently. As soon as he saw me, he started crying and yelling that he truly loved me and had never stopped thinking about me, even while he was living in Germany. He said the only reason he hadn't contacted me before was because he didn't want to disturb my peace. Coming back into my life, he said he could have accepted me being in a new relationship, but not that I had married his cousin. He called me selfish and heartless and said we had acted shamelessly by getting married, considering my past with him. That moment, Sam called the police and they took Felix away, but I couldn't stop thinking about what he said. It was hard to see him like that because normally he was a collected, balanced person. I realized that our relationship with Sam really broke him. We haven't talked about that incident, we just pretend nothing happened. But I don't know how much longer we can keep pretending it's not happening. Honestly, we never really thought about what would happen if Felix came back, how he'd react, or what he'd say about our marriage. Logically, it shouldn't matter, but somehow it does. We could ignore my past with him while he was gone, but now that he's back and making his presence known, it's harder and harder to ignore that part of my past. Luckily, there's no awkwardness between me and Sam, but we both know there's so much unsaid between us, and I desperately want to talk about it and clear the air. At the same time, I can't deny that Felix might be right in some ways. It really is strange that I married his cousin. If my ex had married my cousin, I'd probably feel just as uncomfortable, and the fact that his whole family knew and no one told him might have crushed him completely. Even though it's not my fault, I can't help but feel that somehow it's my fault, that maybe I did something wrong by marrying my ex-fiance's cousin after he dumped me by SMS a week before the wedding. Update 1. Hi everyone. First of all, thank you so much to everyone who responded to my post and took our side. It means so much to both me and Sam. I'm endlessly grateful to everyone who wrote kind words about us because we really needed that. Especially with everything going on with Felix and this whole situation. It's been a week since the police took Felix away after his drunken scene at our house. Now almost the entire family knows about it, and everyone has reached out to tell us that we're not at fault and shouldn't believe the things Felix has said about us. There's nothing shameful or disgusting about our love and marriage. On the contrary, we should be proud of it and not let some pathetic loser poison our lives with his bitterness. Everyone has turned their back on Felix, including his own parents, and I'm very glad about that. Literally no one in his family took his side, and that tells Sam and me everything we need to know. We have every right to be together. I never cheated on Felix. He was the one who left me in the worst possible way. Sam helped me heal and move on, and I have nothing to be ashamed of. I told all my friends about everything, and they supported us too. They said Felix just went crazy with jealousy, which really lifted my spirits. Despite all this, Sam and I decided to see a couples therapist because Felix's return has been a tough test for us, and we feel there are things we need to talk through and work on. We're starting therapy in a couple of days. Update to Felix gave us only 2 weeks of peace before striking again. This time he went online. Last time he was insulting us in person when he drunkenly showed up at our house. Now he wanted a wider audience. He posted a whole rant online accusing us of being together only to get revenge on him. He called us losers who can't stand someone else's success. He said we probably got together out of hatred for him and got married just to spite him. He even hinted that I didn't try to get him back after we broke up because I was already with Sam, and his leaving gave me the perfect excuse. Just the hint that I cheated on him made me sick, because he knows perfectly well that it's a lie. I was madly in love with him, and he just threw me out of his life for a dream or whatever else, without even trying to talk to me. Yet, according to his logic, I was supposed to wait for him. That's the biggest ego trip and nonsense I've ever heard. I haven't seen that post myself because since the breakup I don't follow him anywhere, but a few friends sent me screenshots. I told them to tell him, if he doesn't stop, I'll sue him for defamation. Only after that did he delete the post. Then he messaged me privately, saying I deserved it all and called me a nasty word starting with S that finally made me lose it, and I told him if he messaged me one more time, I would ruin his life so badly he'd never recover. Even then, he had the nerve to reply, saying I deserved Sam because he was a pathetic loser who barely gets by playing gigs and is nobody without a guitar. He added that he already has someone prettier than me and doesn't regret leaving me at all. The only thing he regrets is not doing it on the wedding day, so I would have cried even more. I was shocked that he actually thinks that way, let alone writes it. After that, I finally blocked him. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't do it sooner all these years. I just didn't expect him to message me and definitely never planned to write first. Now he's blocked for good and he has no other ways to reach me if he shows up at my house again. I won't hesitate to file for a restraining order. Update 3 Hi, I sent screenshots of my last conversation with Felix to his entire family and all his friends even though none of them really talk to him anymore. The screenshots only confirmed to everyone that we made the right decision. Everyone was as shocked as I was when they read those messages, and everything fell into place. His parents told us he started drinking while he was living in Germany. It turns out he really couldn't forget me, even being there, combined with the failure of his research project that led him to start drinking, and now he has a serious addiction. That explains his behavior but doesn't justify it. His parents said he was living in a hotel, but they decided to bring him home because they were afraid they might lose him otherwise. They apologized to both of us on his behalf and said they have to take care of him. He's their only child, and they couldn't live with the thought of having abandoned him. Honestly, we understand their position and don't hold a grudge. After all, they're his parents, and he has no one else. Probably none of us would want something terrible to happen to him, no matter what kind of person he is. His parents are good people. They always treated me well and even stood up to him when he behaved like a jerk. So if they want to help him, I respect that. Sam and I love each other more than ever. Family therapy has brought us closer. More than that, we've already started talking about having a child and are finally thinking about building a family. I'm in talks with my management about a raise, and if that works out with my new salary, we'll be able to move to a bigger house and a better neighborhood. So that's where we're at right now. Hopefully, things will only get better from here. Now let's move on to the next story. Tomorrow I'm leaving my wife, and I'm incredibly happy. I'm 45 years old. We were married for 10 years, and before that, we dated for 6. My parents, her parents, and even she herself had doubts deep down that something was wrong, but I brushed it off as PRE wedding jitters. We got married, and literally from the moment the ink dried on the marriage certificate, everything went downhill. During the honeymoon, all she did was complain that I didn't book a nicer hotel. In the following months, she demanded a new apartment, a new car, gifts, jewelry, bags. She was never satisfied. It felt like once she got the ring, I stopped being important. What mattered was only what I could give her. I'm a doctor and I make a decent income, but not enough to support the lifestyle she wanted. We lost intimacy. We stopped laughing. Our conversations are only about money. We don't have kids. She said she wanted them before the wedding, but later changed her mind. Our house looks like a furniture store. Display no coziness, no warmth, no joy. I hate it. I hate her. I barely have enough savings to cover 3 months. I want to retire someday and enjoy life. I rented a nice apartment on the other side of town, not in the best neighborhood, and IKEA furniture is already waiting for me. There, my lease on the Mercedes, the car she forced me to get, ends next month. I'm going to replace it with a used Prius. I'm starting therapy next week. I have a divorce lawyer who assured me that, thanks to the prenuptial agreement, I won't have to pay alimony. I hope within the next year to quit the high-stress job she pressured me into and find something calmer with fewer hours. I'm going to ask out a friendly barista who flirts with me every morning. I didn't expect my first post to get so much attention. I just wanted to vent and expected maybe a couple of comments like good luck. But since so many people asked for an update, here it is. Usually, I run or bike in the mornings, and my wife wakes up, gets dressed, makes a smoothie, and goes about her day. Today, I was just pacing in the kitchen, rehearsing what I'd say. When she finally came down, I felt strangely calm. I didn't expect panic, but at least some reaction. There was none. I told her I needed to talk. She grunted, yeah, without looking away from the coffee machine. Then I told her everything, that I'm leaving, want a divorce, that we've been unhappy for a long time, and that it feels like she doesn't care about me or my emotional needs. Gaslighting started immediately. She cried that I don't give her flowers anymore, that I don't try hard enough, that I don't care if she's happy. I reminded her I offered couples therapy over a year ago. She agreed then, but kept finding excuses not to go. I reminded her how she ignored the budget we set together, and how hurt I felt when she brushed off my attempts at heartfelt talks. The crying got worse. She begged for one more chance, for therapy, that she'd changed. It all went exactly how I expected, but I felt nothing. Everything I once felt for her died at some point. I was just tired of listening and left. Since then, she's been bombarding me with calls from hysterics to please and threats. By the end of the day, her mum and mine called. I briefly explained to my mum that it's unfortunate she found out this way, but my wife drained me financially and emotionally, and I can't live like this anymore. My mum supported me. Right now, I'm in my new apartment, unpacked the mattress, went to Walmart for bedding and food, watched some Netflix on my laptop. I have everything I need for the next few days. Tomorrow she'll be served divorce papers. I'm waiting for sadness to hit me, but so far, I feel like a weight has been lifted. Ahead lies a world of possibilities. I'll travel, try new restaurants, find a job that brings joy and pride, not just money, and much to the horror of some commenters, yes, I'm going to ask that barista out because despite what many say, she's actually a good match for me. It's a family-run coffee shop and I know how to tell politeness from genuine interest. P.S. guys, I've already been told several times. Don't ask the barista out, that's just her job. She has to be polite. I didn't go into details before because it didn't seem important during the divorce story, but here's how it went. We met about a year ago. She's 30. I usually don't wear my wedding ring because I wash my hands a lot at work. A few months after meeting, she invited me out to a food truck festival. I told her I was married and she got a bit awkward. Since then, we joke. She occasionally asks, "So, still married?" Now I'm planning to say, "No, not anymore," and see what happens next. That's all for now. Thank you for listening to this story till the end. Don't forget to follow our channel and take care.